Wayne, you've had such an amazing career. Why now? Why make the movie now? Why not earlier? Why not in the prime of your career? Why not when you sort of had the most limelight? Why sort of the movie at this stage of your career?
Thanks, Potts. I don't know if I've had a career. I think I've lived my life more of an experiment than a career. And I swore, I've had a few people ask me to do a film and a book in the last few years, and I swore in the end, I said, no, I'll never do it. I'll be the only guy that never did a film and a book. And I've just done the film and I'm doing a book. And I was convinced in the end, it was a good argument, and it had nothing to do with millions of dollars, I can assure you, that if my story wasn't told, it would disappear. And it would disappear from the culture and the history of surfing quite quickly, and just, a whole era and a whole dimension of what the surfing pioneering years would just pass. And mine was, I suppose, different just because I didn't compete all the time and I grew up in a place that was remote. You could almost call it a wilderness. So, the experience is different. And I did, in the end, feel a bit guilty because Craig said, you owe that to surfing because it's been such a good life. So I relented, and that's it. And I'm hoping the film will just sort of touch people in a way that they will see their life in it and what inspired them to go surfing and what sustained them through all the years about surfing, at its most purest level. So, yeah, hopefully it's worth it.
Now, Craig, you mentioned something about there wasn't much to talk about. It was more of an experiment than a career. When you started asking people about Wayne Lynch, they were very forthcoming with a lot of stuff, weren't they?
Well, it was a bit of a magic key because a lot of people would say to me, is Wayne on board? And once in fact, the best story was a mate of mine, Mark Phipps, down at Point Lonsdale, was a board shaper, and I said, Phippsy, I'm making a film about Wayne. And Phippsy said, really? Does Wayne know anything about this? Because he'd known Wayne from years ago. But when I travelled around the world, because I went, all up the East Coast, and we went to Hawaii and Kauai and California, we went to Jerry Lopez's place up at Oregon, and Drew Campion lives off an island off Washington State. Once I said that Wayne had given me his blessing, it seemed to open a lot of doors. He's built a tremendous amount of respect in the surfing world because he's followed his own journey, and I think for a lot of people all around the world, they still, there's a real special place in their heart for Wayne. So it wasn't that hard, and almost everyone I approached was happy to speak to me.
Now, Wayne, you've been involved with this sport. Well, it wasn't a sport really when you got involved with it. It's changed into that. Do you still love it as much when you were a kid growing up, paddling out by yourself, finding those, spots by yourself? Do you still enjoy that?
Well, yes, I do, but unfortunately I don't paddle out on those spots by myself anymore, Potts. There's a few others out there. I'm not as obsessive about it, and a lot of the people here I'm sure will identify with this. As you grow older, you still surf, but your life changes and other responsibilities come in. And I think it's important to grow as a person in that way. As I said in the film, and you also had to admit to it, you're very selfish when you're young, and you just pursue what you want to do, and pretty much everything else is put to the side, especially when the surf's really good. So now I surf, but I have a lot of other interests. I practice qigong, I used to do yoga, looking after my dad. He's really ill with Parkinson's, and I shape a few boards, even though a lot of those guys don't believe I am because they're still waiting. So life's taken on a different dimension, if you like, and I'm really happy about that. And really, the surf is crowded, as I said, so I can't do the things I used to do. I don't like being in a crowded situation. It's too competitive. that situation, so I'd rather not go. You know, I sit around and complain about it a lot. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, Wayne, you said there's other responsibilities. You're obviously involved with Patagonia, number one, and also White Tag, which is you know, looking after the grey whites. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, a friend of ours, which was the mutual friend that introduced Craig and I together, was Ken Stannard, and he runs White Tag, which works in conjunction with CSIRO in tagging white pointers to see what they're up to, basically. And again, I'm sure a lot of you have had a few encounters with sharks or seen them go by, and I've always been fascinated that what are they up to? We know so little about them, and you know, they've scared me shitless so often that I thought it'd be smart to start to work out what's going on. And what's going on is they're not in good shape, they are threatened. And I think it's like anything, if you understand the animal, you've got a better chance of survival, and we've got a better chance of protecting people at beaches. So it's a fascinating world, and it stands to help all of us in the end. With Patagonia, I'm an ambassador now. I think, you know, way back in the late 60s, one of the things we often spoke about was how surfers and surfing could be quite a model for the rest of the world, or the rest of the business world, in that we could produce clothing and products that were recyclable or organic, were made from organic materials, all that sort of thing. You know, I think it would come under the umbrella of being responsible, of setting an example, not trying to be didactic and tell other people what to do. And really, I was always disappointed that the surfing industry developed without that in mind. And Patagonia do that, and so it's a perfect fit for me. And I think the key point here is when I signed my contract with them, they said to me, Wayne, we just want you to be yourself. Go out there and do what you do, whatever it is, we don't care. We just want you out there doing it. And no one in 50 years ever said that to me. Never. They wanted me to be what they thought was the appropriate specimen. And you can see I just can't do it. It's impossible. And when I did try, my life didn't go so well. I'd start to take on self-destructive behaviour and so forth. So I think the big lesson in that is stay true to yourself, no matter what you do or who you are. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be famous. Just live your life how you feel and follow that path. And you're living out your destiny. And that's really important. It's a simple thing, hard to do, but I think in this day and age, it's a very vital message for our children. Okay, thanks.
All right, I'm going to throw it over to you guys. After watching the movie, I'm sure a lot of you have got some questions. Put up your hand if you want to ask Wayne a question and throw it at him. Or Craig, yep, down the front.
Wayne, what would you advise Americans in Victorian and the South Coast? What would be your advice for American on surfing the South Coast?
Learn to speak Australian. I don't know, that's a very good question. I haven't got an answer readily available. Where'd you come from? Florida. Yeah, that's interesting. Look, I think just enjoy your new world and don't write home about how good it is. No, just make the most of it and enjoy what you're a very lucky man. You've been able to come here and find a way to live, really. I mean, I know what America's like, and I love America. Americans have treated me fantastically well in my life, but boy, it's crowded. It's an overwhelming world over there. Anyway, good luck to you. Yeah, straight away, Cloudbreak in Fiji. by far. G-Land would be a close second, but Cloud Break the Wave, just the way the wave breaks, I absolutely love it. And it sort of resembles the surf here. There's a certain quality in the wave that is very much like where I grew up down the coast here, which I can't say where that was because it's... so yeah, you know, I feel like I've gone to a tropical version of where I live, and it's probably a bit hollower. And not every wave's the same. It moves around a lot and changes a lot. It's a really interesting wave. It's pretty damn intense when it's big, I can tell you. Once it hits up around 12 foot or more, it's horrendous, especially the takeoff. It's just a ledge, and it's already travelling. So you're falling into something that's trying to pass you straight away, and you can't tell if you're going to make it. You just have to feel the edge and just get in there, and then you just go, oh my God. And there's no channel. It just finishes on a reef, or some taper off and you can get out. Sometimes you can't get off, and the reef's only, 20 yards off, 100 feet away. You know, when a wave's that big and you're going straight at it, it's quite an experience. The G-Land rate's pretty close. Yeah, look, that was about, did I go back to Indonesia after the accident and the malaria? No, it took me about 20 years, at least. And I do regret not going back because I was there right at the start. And one of my friends had discovered G-Land and he told me about it. And I wasn't allowed to tell anyone, and I was meant to come back the next year. He had a boat organised and we're going over. So I would have been amongst the first to surf it and the whole experience. I do regret, that's one of the regrets I have, surfing regrets, and I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, I nearly died from the malaria. It was really serious. I didn't want to go near Indonesia. I didn't want to go north of Sydney, just in case. Oh no, hang on. Lennox Head. That was about where's my favourite Victorian wave? Yeah, Bells Beach. Honestly, I'm not going to say it. I can't. Even though it's crowded and there's people there, I just don't. It's just down the coast. Sorry.
How did you enjoy the surf mate, and have you ridden one since?
Oh, I love the surf mats. And, George Greeno was the first person I saw ride the barrel and actually ride mats in a way that I had never seen before. Because I grew up riding the little surfos into the beach like a lot of us did, the old rubber ones. And then we sort of got pretty carried away and we'd see how big a waves we could ride on them. And I can remember riding 10, 12 foot surf, which was hideous because you can't get off the bloody thing. If it lands on you, it nails you, and you're not under the water, you're just getting rolled along. So I had some of the most intense wipeouts because of that. But what I really loved about it was it just kept us having fun. You didn't get too serious about your surfing. There was it was a multi-dimensional aspect to surfing. And same with body surfing. I absolutely love it. And in fact, one of my dads, wait a minute, I've got only one dad. Sorry about that. My dad had one of his nicknames was Body Wave because he was really good at it. So as a young kid, I learned off him. That question was, as a shaper, do I envisage any more breakthroughs in surfboard design? Look, they'll always come, I think. It's hard to know. I think, those pioneering years really established the changes that would sort of be sustained right through the rest of surfing. But certainly it'll improve. And I think something that may be important is the fins. I think somewhere in fins there's going to be a bit of another breakthrough. Don't ask me what it is. I haven't painted it yet. Yep.
Well, there's a surfer in Lorne, or there was. His nickname was Moose.
Many moons ago, I was sat a surf with you, fish, still don't fish, that's all I know. I was over on the break on the other side of Cathedral, just to the right of it.
Yeah.
It was me, yourself, Dean Hunt,
Oh, right.
and the late Daffy, as you and me know.
Yep.
It was quite big,
Yep.
very big, and sometimes you got a flick off there because it just flows out and you get one hell of a hide.
Yeah.
I think they call it super juice, I think.
Yeah, that's true. You got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, as time went on, I said, Vic, will you knock me up the board? He said, oh, I'm pretty busy. I said, well, I'll wait.
Are you still waiting?
No. And went up to your old man's joint up the top of George Street,
Yeah.
and you knocked it up for me. I've helped you out and organised it. And you said, how big do you want this board? And I said, 7'2", and you said, you're going to be kidding. You only made small boards in those days.
Yeah.
Can you remember it? Or do you know who I am?
I can remember the floggings.
Fisherman on the Lord Pier.
Yeah. No way I can remember that.
Made Marty laws for many moons. And I used to leave my board under Henry Lunn's house.
Yeah.
And maybe did you know who I am?
Yeah. The answer is no. Sorry, mate. There's a little bit of damage going on in just in that little bit of, a couple of years.
Shells aren't the best either. I remember there was 24 boats on the pier at that time. Now there's none left.
That's true.
Yeah, Wayne, just quickly, the sorry, shut up. Wayne, just quickly, the transition to the thruster, and you talked about fins, and obviously, I heard you were critical of your boards, that's the first thing, you smashed them up a bit.
Well, that's not true.
No.
That's actually not true.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a
you
few
better
things-
tell him that, he wrote it.
Yeah. Well, Matt said it. I mean, he's got a... Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry, but just the transition, you came off the single fins, I know the 20s came through. How did you see that transition to the thrust off when Simon? I see you surfing some of Simon's early boards. Was that significant for you? Or?
Yeah, very. I couldn't ride twin fins. I just could not ride them. I mean, I would spin out every turn, and it was horrendous. And I think Simon Anderson had the same problem. And one day he just went, look, I'm putting a fin on here to see what happens because I can't stand this any longer, basically. And when he did that at work, he made a board for a young friend of mine called Warren Powell down at Lorne and sent it down, and Powell, he couldn't ride it. And I looked at it and went, geez, this is interesting. And I went out and surfed it and loved it straight away. And I saw Powley about a month later, and he saw me surf it. He said, I want my board back. It's true. I want it back. Going well, isn't it? And then I got Simon to make me a couple. So I thought that combination was just perfect. I mean, there's limitations on them and all the rest, but it just opened up something that we'd been trying to do and we're struggling with a single fin. It just lacks that grip and that lift. And as soon as that other centre fin was there with the twin fin, it just gave us all that freedom and manoeuvrability and bite. So, yeah, no, very significant. Good on, Simon. They should pay him $1 a board. I'll take 50 cents.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Thank Mr. Wayne Lynch, legend.